Hello and welcome to SplitScreen, brought to you by Insert Coin.
Hello and welcome to SplitScreen, brought to you by Insert Coin. My name's Dan Long and I'm here to introduce you to some of the amazing people from the world of video games, the people who love games as much as you do. Today I'm here with Luke Westaway. Luke does it all. He streams, he podcasts, he presents, he creates and plays and GMs amazing games. He writes and performs music, one of which might contain a mention of someone not a million miles away from here. Luke, welcome.
Hello, Dan. Thank you very much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you here, Luke. I'm so excited to have you here today. So, there's not much going on with Luke Westaway. On Planet Westaway, there's not much going on, right?
No, very little. Yeah, no, there's loads. There's loads happening in my life at the moment. Well, I mean, if you're watching this and you're familiar with me, then you almost certainly know me from the YouTube channel Outside Extra, which was running with my co-host Ellen Rose since 2016, but I've recently stepped away from that to try and give myself some bandwidth to start up some weird, odd new projects that I mostly can't talk about yet because they're still bad ideas floating around the back of my mind. But yeah, other than that, I'm a video games person on the YouTube. Don't know if you've heard of YouTube. It's this
I've never heard of YouTube. I don't know what is a YouTube.
It's a bit like Vimeo, but it's not as good. I think it's a flash in the pan, honestly. I think it's
not. It's never going to last, is it?
No.
It's like vines, like just long drawn out vines.
Yeah, it is a long drawn out vine. That's what my life is, creating long drawn out vines. That probably, if I'm honest, could have been a vine and should have.
This email could have been a vine.
Yeah.
So when you made the announcement, it was big news. You know, it's big news. It's Outside Extra is a huge channel, and it's exciting. It means a lot to a lot of people, and so,
yeah, it means a lot to me.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously, and there's so much love for both you and Ellen in the world, which not enough. There needs to be more. There should be more.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying for a long time.
That's what I've seen in the petitions, all the online petitions that you've got. There's so many signatures already. But one of the things that you mentioned that you were looking to do was to make more music and make music for video games specifically.
Yeah, if I can, yeah.
What do you think, for you, makes a memorable piece of video game music? What makes a great gaming soundtrack?
What a great question. I think the thing that I really love about video game music and why I think it's such a great expression of music is the way that good video game music both grabs your attention and also, when required, just dips into the background and is completely unnoticeable. So if you think of very famous video game themes like, I don't know, some of the Zelda music or something, some Koji Kondo, like video game classic stuff like that, it's so catchy. It's relentlessly melody driven, and I am a melody forward composer. So I'm drawn to that. But also I just really like the way that video game music is so much about conjuring a vibe and an atmosphere. And that is less to do with melody and almost like it's to do with chords and chord structure and song progression and stuff like that. But a huge part of it is instrumentation and production. And I'm really into that stuff as well. The last year or so, I've been getting really serious with Pro Tools, which is a piece of software that's like industry grade. Before that, I was making all my music in a piece of software called Adobe Audition and Logic Pro 10.
Oh, wow.
And I was pushing them to their very limits, but Adobe Audition in particular is podcasting software basically, and I was sort of making it turn all these somersaults trying to sort of produce music on it. Yeah, since stepping away from Outside Extra, that's just been one of the things that I've been doing all day, is just sitting in front of Pro Tools, getting to know it and getting to use it and figuring it out, and trying to get the hang of quickly and efficiently creating a vibe. If you said, I don't know, this game is set on a desert island or something, and be like, okay, I can kind of hear it in my head. How do I convert that like vibe and atmosphere that I can hear in my head into like music that's playing out of my computer. What are the exact instruments? What are the exact effects? That's what I love about video game music. It's a perfect combination of melody and vibes, which are my two favourite things about music in general.
I think that's a really great description, because it was one of those things that I always thought not slipped into the background, but it wasn't always a thing that I really appreciated. And then when I was playing Elden Ring, and it was like, oh wow, now Elden Ring, yeah, now I get it. Now I sort of got it on in doses before, like small doses of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, that game's really good. But then that one was like, actually no, this is like really, really smart, how it sort of like adapts to what you're doing. And like you say, like the vibe is just like, it's just there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Elden Ring music is beautiful. I think the interesting thing about video game music, you mentioned like in the past you'd never paid it much mind. I think what's really interesting is that it's now easier to make video game music than it ever has been, because now if you make a video game, you add a WAV file or an MP3 file or whatever to your game. It is basically like a song is playing.
Yeah.
In olden times, there wasn't the storage capacity to fill a thing with WAVs and MP3s, so all of the music was generated like as and when as you played the game by the sound chip.
Oh really?
Yeah, and those things were hard, very hard to program. That's what's super impressive to me about anyone who was working in the older era, is that it was much more like coding.
Yeah.
You needed a musical background to know what to try and code, but it was just like sort of hand programming in just like lines of drums, lines of like music. It was very, very fiddly. A very, very arcane process.
Yeah, and like combining two kind of like disciplines in one to sort of get something.
Yeah, exactly. You can mess around with that stuff now if you want. I've spent some time kind of messing around with one that emulates the NES sound chip, I think it was, and it's an interesting exercise because you can only have a certain number of sounds playing at once. It's very, very limited. So it really does force you to focus. It's like, do I want another snare drum hit here, bearing in mind I might not be able to have any bass at the same time? It's like, you have to really, it really focuses you. So yeah, it's cool. But now it's easy.
Yeah, it's easy. Just banging it. You've done so many already now.
It's easy. The Elden Ring soundtrack, I think it's easy. It's easy. Yeah.
So as well as like music for games, you've obviously released sort of, as you said, you've released songs as well, and they've covered loads of different subjects as well, including gaming. You've made songs about gaming,
Yep.
where interface with life, real life kind of situations as well, with your very famous Animal Crossing New Horizons song.
Oh yeah, Meet Me at Velma's Grave. I probably should have given that an
Yes.
Animal Crossing-y title. That might have helped it be more successful. But, the path not taken.
How much success do you want, Luke?
Well,
It's everywhere.
I can see the Spotify stats, Dan. I know which songs take off and which ones don't. Meet Me at Velma's Grave has done all right. I wanted it to, obviously I wanted it to be on the radio. I wanted all the kids to be TikToking to it.
All the kids just playing, like just doing like new skipping games to it, and
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wanted it to enter the pantheon of nursery rhymes. That's how iconic I was hoping it would be. Just a standard.
in years to come.
Yeah.
Someone opens a leather-bound book.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah. You know those YouTube videos that's like, here's 100 songs that you've heard but don't know the name of? It would be one of those in 100 years' time. It'd be like, oh, did you know this famous melody that you've been humming all your life is Meet Me at Velma's Grave by Luke?
It makes me smile because me and my family are mentioned in it, but it makes me smile because of the character of which is really kind. Thank you so much. Because it's like, wow, that's like...
Thank you. I mean, you're mentioned in that song along with all of the other people who kept me sane in lockdown by playing Animal Crossing with me. So, yeah, thank you. Thanks for, inviting me to island hangouts and all that stuff.
But it makes me smile because of Velma as a character. It's just the perfect one to encapsulate that kind of thing, I think, as well.
Poor horrible Velma. Yeah, she moved to Andy's island. Andy Farrant.
Oh, really?
If you're watching this, you doubtless will be familiar with his many, many great works. Yeah, as he's not shy about telling me. He's like, Velma's not dead. She lives on my island. He's in denial.
Haunts it.
Yeah,
just haunting it.
Yeah, well, yeah, because she's dead. She's canonically dead.
Yeah.
Check the wiki. She's dead.
They're notoriously accurate.
Yep, they better be. If video game wikis aren't accurate, let me tell you, boy, am I in trouble. They're a huge resource.
All those list videos in the bin.
Yeah.
Just shh, don't talk about those.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Imagine if there was a tribunal for checking the accuracy of those videos, and it was just like, and what did you use this wiki, sir? Mr. Westaway, you used this wiki to verify 7 amazing boss
It's
fights.
very interesting because obviously, like, you know, wikis are a brilliant resource for. I try and like verify things from a couple of other places as well, but like
another wiki,
yeah. But you know, like they are video game fan wikis are amazing. They are.
Yeah.
I actually never. I honestly can't think of a time where I've like found something on one to be like to not match up with what is actually going on in the game, and yeah, they're very hard to read sometimes, and they are. I wish they were laid out differently, but like my goodness, they are such a you know, like anything you want to know about Resident Evil, Castlevania, whatever it is, you know, anything. It's all there.
It's such deep lore, isn't it? Because we use them sometimes, or I use them for like checking on like character stuff for products and things like that.
Yeah, sure.
And you're exactly what you said is like, I'm glad I'm not the only person about the layout where it's like you look at one and go, oh, I just want to find this one quote about this character.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then it's like 17 pages of deep lore about, you know, what they had for breakfast on the first day that you see them in the game. It's like, okay.
It's never organised by game. You and me and most people interact with video games by game. Even if it's like a series, you're playing a particular Castlevania game, so you want to know what's happening to Alucard in Castlevania Symphony of the Night, for instance. But if you go on the Alucard page, it's not like, here's what he did in Symphony of the Night. It's like, here's his entire biography, and only true fans will be able to figure out like where his actions in one game ended and the next began.
Maybe that's the real game.
Yeah, I may be being unfair on the Alucard wiki page, I don't know, but that's definitely my general experience is that's the thing. You're looking at it and you're like, what? Gears of War, Resident Evil. I remember like a particularly cryptic wikis. You're just sort of staring at, being like, it's, you know what? It's just any game with any series with a lot of games. You're like, you know, the Metal Gear wiki. It's like it's a complete and accurate account of everything that a character ever did across all the games, which is brilliant. But you just want to know what happened in this one game, and you cannot figure out.
In that one cutscene that you remember, you half remember the cutscene. And what did he say? Oh, well, I'll go through all of this other lore first, and then you realise it wasn't that character anyway.
But I don't want to sound ungrateful because, man, video game fan wikis are an amazing thing, and
they are. Yeah, they are. Yeah. It's true. So we started talking about the songs and sort of like went off on a tangent.
Yeah.
But if you had the opportunity to write another song, not necessarily right now, I'm not asking you to do it right now, but if you like you finish this conversation and you go, right, I'm going to write this song about any other game, any other video game.
Oh, right. Oh.
What would you write? What game would you write that song about, and what sort of song would it be?
It's a good question. I mean, Meet Me at Velma's Grave is obviously about Animal Crossing, and it's kind of a love letter to Animal Crossing. But the reason, you know, there are plenty of games that I've liked more than Animal Crossing.
How dare you?
I know, but Animal Crossing was there at a particular time, you know, a particular time when it was necessary.
Yes.
So I guess, yeah, the question, I'm trying to think of like other games that have been like particularly important. I remember like in my the Ace Attorney series. Which I really love. Again, that's another good example, I think, because I can think of a lot of games that I like more than Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, but I just have huge fondness for that game because of the time in my life when I played it and how, you know, comforting and how familiar and how engrossing it was. And I mean, there's a lot to riff on, thinking about those games, thinking about their music. Oh man, those games have just unbelievable music. Nintendo gets a lot of praise, and rightly so, for its music generally. Nintendo has more famous, more iconic, better music, but like the ratio in Capcom's work is like, it's really rare to be playing a Capcom game and there's music that like doesn't absolutely kick your ass. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I love Capcom music, and yeah, the music in the Ace Attorney series is so good. So, yep, there you go, Ace Attorney.
An Ace Attorney song.
Yeah, or Bloodborne. Bloodborne was very important to me as a game as well. Personally, it's another game that I played in lockdown, and I'd played Dark Souls 1 before then, but I think playing Bloodborne was the game where I really like got where that like From Software thing kind of got its hooks into me in a major way. And now, like, that's primarily the thing that I'm associated with on YouTube. I think that's, you know, on my channel now, Normal Adult Luke, youtube.com/@normaladultluke, and patreon.com/normaladultluke, where you can access a patron-only playthrough of Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. But also I'm playing Dark Souls with an item and enemy randomizer on it, and yeah, I think Bloodborne, it wasn't the first one I played, but it was the first one that I like properly loved and felt like I got it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've gone back and played Dark Souls a few times since then. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it did the first time. It feels better because now I feel like I'm
really?
because like now I'm in the mindset. It's not scary. It's not like Dark Souls isn't scary. Like the first time I played Dark Souls, I was very afraid.
Yeah,
I was very scared. But you know, you start to see through the matrix a little bit, and you're like, oh, it's not scary. It's just a spreadsheet to have fun in. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's because I remember you saying that when I first started playing Elden Ring, and I was forever picking your brains about that. And that was because I went through them the other day. I had a friend who's playing it at the moment, and I was sort of pulling up useful Lukeisms about that I could then share. It's like, you know, this is really useful. Luke said this. And then you go, read that. It's really good.
Oh no.
And it is that sort of thing of it being, you have to sort of see beyond the veil, beyond the mist, the fog door.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and you kind of work out, actually, this is really, I've just got to do this repeatedly, and then that'll work.
Yeah.
Or this, then that, and then it's
this repeatedly, and then it'll work. Is basically the key to
it against the wall.
Yeah,
but in a fun way.
But it's like the thing that I like about those games is that it reconfigures like what failure means.
Yeah.
When you've played a lot of other games and then you start playing Dark Souls and you're dying a lot, you feel like you're doing very badly at it. But you just have to remember that the game is hard. So it's calibrated in such a way that like dying is part of it. Like that's the experience. All of the like 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 deaths before you beat a boss, that is all like a valid part of the game. But you know, Dark Souls came into popular culture at the end of a video game era where video games were getting more and more straightforward difficulty-wise.
Yeah.
Which I didn't see as a problem and still don't see as a problem. You know, lots of great games there, but like take Uncharted or something. If you die in Uncharted, it's genuinely annoying because you're not really supposed to die in Uncharted. You're supposed to see everything once, and it's supposed to be a wild, wacky roller coaster where it's really exciting.
Of murdering people.
Yeah, of murdering people in beautiful places. But you know, so if you die in that game, it's annoying.
It's frustrating.
It's annoying. They should turn off death altogether in Uncharted, to be honest. I think it'd be a better game for it. But you just have to, Dark Souls is like a 40-hour game.
Yeah.
And of that time, you're going to be dying for loads of it. If you didn't die, the game wouldn't be very long at all.
No.
And there would be no value in it. Like, it's just, the dying is not like, oh, you failed, now try again. It's like, it is the game. That is what the game is. Dying.
It's kind of like the journey, isn't it? Right? It's like the cliche of like it's not the destination, it's the journey kind of thing. It's that you. It isn't the fact that you beat that boss. It's the fact that you got to that point to beat that boss. Yeah, and then you've worked out. You've gone through that so many times because again, like when I was speaking with someone recently, and they were like, "Oh, I tried. I think it was Star Scourge Radahn," and they'd like. Oh, I've tried 10 times and I haven't beaten it yet. It's like 10 times. Come on now. It
was 10 times before I even got up to him. Yeah. I think the first 10 times he killed me at range as I was running across the desert.
Yeah. It was like I was just obliterated. I mean, I remember because we were obviously in the similar sort of places. We'd perhaps go in different directions, but we'd sort of similar sort of like locations and places in the journey, and it would be like. Oh, I've died like 50 times on this and 100 times, or that is part of the process, I guess, for From games, right? That's the
Yeah.
It is what they're all about.
Yeah.
And my next question, believe it or not, is I've just written down the word Elden Ring, which I think is probably fair enough, right? It just says Elden Ring?
Elden Ring, question mark. Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I wouldn't have platinum. Well, I don't think I would have finished it or platinumed it or gone past the first sort of few hours without your help and the help of a lot of other veterans of From Games who sort of...
all I was doing was what everyone else was doing, was just Googling it, you know.
You were just my personal Google service.
Yeah, I was just your little Google butler. Yeah. No, there's a lot of, you know, there was a lot of stuff that was easier for me to figure out because I played the other From Software games and stuff. But you know, that is, and you know, another nice part of that series, I think, is that they are designed to be, you know, they're not designed to be played in isolation. You are supposed to talk about them. No. You are supposed to share them. You are supposed to look stuff up. Or, you know, or else otherwise you just wouldn't find anything. You wouldn't be able to do anything at all.
Well, this is the thing. It's like we were talking, like we'd talk about bits and pieces, and it was like, how do you find it? It's like, oh, it's just posted here, or it's like, oh, have you found this bit? And it's like, no, I found it by watching this video.
Yeah.
There isn't a way that I don't believe there's a way other than just loads of people throwing themselves like at the wall repeatedly until someone gets like a crack in it, kind of thing.
Yeah,
but there's no way that you'd know like to do or not to do certain things in a certain order because it's impossible. It says particularly Elden Ring because it's in so many different directions at once. If you do X, then that affects Y, and you know, how can you? There's no way you'd ever know. How would you know? It's this. You have to have that reliance on other people to figure out these things.
Have you read Kevin MacDonald's book about Dark Souls?
No.
Well, here's a book recommendation for anyone watching slash listening. It's called You Died, the Dark Souls Companion, and it's by Kevin MacDonald and Jason Killingsworth, and it's a great book. It's but the thing that is really remarkable about it is Keza recounts what it was like reviewing Dark Souls as one of, like, you know, as a journalist in the UK, like before the game was out. So try like the nightmare scenario. You have to play Dark Souls, but there is no wiki yet. There are no forums. There's no one to talk about it online. Nothing's happening, and you are just faced with this game. And what happened was all of the journalists from different UK outlets ended up on like an email thread together, which I think was called the Chain of Pain. And in an unlikely and beautiful act of cross-publication collaboration, they were basically, you know, all sort of sharing advice and sharing what they'd managed to figure out and stuff like that. So I played Elden Ring a bit before it came out, and it was one of probably the most daunting like preview experiences I've ever had, because it was like, you know, I was just sort of booted into Limgrave, and it was like, all right, go on then. Like, what?
Let's check this out.
Yeah. What? I don't know. And but with the sure knowledge that if I was doing this in 6 months, there would be a website that says, "Hey, ma'am, welcome to Limgrave. The first thing you should do is go here, and on the way, like hit these spots and get this. And there's a pretty good weapon like over here if you head there." And you know, that's the way that I've played all the other games. I can't imagine how intense that must have been to be a Dark Souls reviewer. So yeah, read that book would be my advice.
I will check it out. And I think that's the thing, that exactly what you said there is it's almost like a sweet kind of mentality of like you know, caring, nurturing mentality.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of toxicity in the you know, Soulsborne community, as I think there is in many video game communities and non-video game communities. But I have found a great deal of sweetness and, you know, charity and fun and generosity and
humor. There's a lot of humor in there that you wouldn't necessarily expect.
Yeah.
But so we've got the DLC coming up of Elden Ring. What are your sort of hopes and dreams and wants from that?
I think my hope is that it's just going to be the perfect length. I think it's going to be about 30 hours, maybe.
Cool.
Yeah, maybe like 30 to 40. I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be a very generous DLC. But the amount of time that they've spent on it, I would expect that. And going on past form, you know, they tend to do really chunky, decent bits of DLC that often end up being the best bits of the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be brilliant. I can't. I'm really hyped.
It's one of those ones that I've said to you before, I think, where I'm kind of like somewhere between, like, I'm really excited, but I am terrified, because as my first DLC of my first From game, and it's like, oh, what did I put myself through that last time? And it felt so good beating it last, like the main game.
Yeah, and then they moved the goalpost by adding some more. Yeah.
It's like, oh no.
I'm not scared. My character is so broken and OP. It's gonna. I'm gonna steamroll the whole thing.
Well, this is the thing. It's like, are they?
Maybe.
Do you think that it will let you be that OP, and you'll just be able to waltz around, like, you know, all cocky, just like
thumbs in my braces?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how it'll work, but normally the way it works is you access DLC like at a certain point geographically in the game that you can't get to straight away. And there's, you know, it tends to be like quite a high level like thing to do.
Is it Moog's egg? Is it this one's Moog's egg? Is that the
that's the
or not his egg, the egg he owns.
Miquella. Miquella's in the egg. Miquella is in Moog's egg. This is becoming increasingly arcane and confusing for anyone who doesn't like Elden Ring.
Who doesn't like? Come on, Luke. Who doesn't like Elden Ring? This is 2024. Everyone loves Elden Ring.
Everyone enjoys podcasts about Moog's egg.
Yeah. Everyone's got 2 or 3 copies of Elden Ring. Yeah. They're tripping over them because they love them so much. They don't move them. They just leave them there. Exactly. Where they fall.
Mm-hmm. It's hallowed ground.
To sort of change sort of direction slightly to another string in your bow. I love your podcast.
Mum Can't Cook. Me too. I love it so much.
The lovely Andy Farrant.
Yeah.
And
I'm sinfully proud of it.
Obviously, that focuses on DCOM, Disney Channel original movies. Yep. I think we should lay the groundwork now that I would like to announce that you are probably one of the 2 leading world experts in DCOM. In today's arena.
I think Andy and I are the only people in the world who know this much about DCOMs and don't like them. Because, don't get me wrong, you go online, there are a lot of people who are very, very passionate about DCOMs, but generally they tend to, like, you know, really love them and be like big fans of them. You know, ours is not the only Disney Channel original movie podcast.
It is.
But I do think
we're having the others closed down.
I think ours might be the only one. We might be the only ones who started a podcast to devote such a huge amount of time to something that we think sucks. But no, Disney Channel original movies were TV movies that the Disney Channel made, starting in the like mid-late 90s, and we cover, or at least are covering at the moment, the sort of golden era of them. Golden in terms of them being hilariously bonkers and terrible. The kind of late 90s, early noughties era, where they were just throwing a lot of stuff at the wall with not very much money, and
none of it stuck.
Yeah, none of it stuck. And for some reason, they decided to put it all on Disney Plus when they launched that. I guess, it bulked out the catalogue a bit. Little did they know that, 2 British people who were not familiar with the term. It's really interesting talking to people who grew up in America about the podcast, because if you grew up in the US, then there is just obviously a very generally high awareness level of the concept of a Disney Channel original movie. People are like, oh yeah, I remember Disney Channel original movie. And we're like, no, it's such precious and weird treasure. How could you...
You don't know about this.
How are you not talking about this all the time? How are you not talking about Brink all the time? How are you not talking about Halloween Town and Xenon? And You Wish?
I remember going to Disneyland Paris when not long after it would have opened, and them having them on like the like the TV in the room, like the hotel room, and having them on in there, but in French, and it just being
that is
like,
brilliant.
even as however old I was, brilliant. Like 12 or 13, looking at them going, this is rubbish.
I mean, I'm absolutely staggered that they took the time to do a French dub. That is very uncharacteristic. I think it really shows how badly they were trying to buoy up Disneyland Paris at the time. But yeah, I mean, I take your point, Andy and I have become foremost experts on
Yeah.
on Disney Channel original movies.
You could become doctors of DCOM.
Yeah,
right?
I think for that to happen, a university would have to like acknowledge it. Also, I don't want to be called Dr. DCOM. I don't. It doesn't sound good to me. It doesn't feel good.
Weirdly, sounds like a villain from a DCOM movie.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, Dr. DCOM. The villains in DCOM movies are usually just like someone's dad. So it's like someone has an evil or horrible dad. They have to. Who they have to.
The low budget.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
It was the dad all along.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I remember I watched some of them when the sort of news broke out, and then I dip in and out because my constitution isn't that strong. But some of them are just they stay with you.
You need a strong constitution, and also I would say that, like when Andy and I watch them now, when we rewatch them in doing podcast prep, it takes an exceptionally long time. It's like it takes me roughly like 5 or 6 hours to get through a DCOM, like, with Google Docs open, because you'll watch a few lines and then you'll have to pause it to look something up or just make a note of what happened. You have to like transcribe dialogue. And you end up with this like, it's no wonder we know them so well, because we're like it's like revising. It's the same. Yeah. It's the same process you go through when you're revising for a test. It's like write it down again, repeat it, sort of say it, pause it, go back to the beginning and stuff. So yeah, you do get intimately familiar. On the subject of Mum Can't Cook, though, I should give Insert Coin a very special shout out, because it was our first sponsor.
Yay!
Our first, and at the time only, sponsor. Thanks for taking a gamble on sponsoring the show.
Thank you for thinking of us, A, and B, thank you for giving me the opportunity to write terrible pun code names.
Oh yeah, well, if you are a fan of Mum Can't Cook, you should know that it is Dan who personally writes those. So if you have been upset by them, like I have, Dan is take it up with Dan.
Oh, there was a point. I don't think, very briefly, this is about me, and I don't like that part of it. This conversation, that's not the interesting part. But
okay,
that's the terrible part. But there was a point when I wrote the code citation needed.
Oh yeah, very good.
I think that was simultaneously the best and worst thing I've ever created.
Yeah.
In my lifetime.
Yeah.
It was a joy and a horror.
Was that for? I think that might have been for Ring of Endless Light, which is a film about dolphins.
Yes.
I can't think of another. There's not been one that's more about cetaceans than that, I don't think.
There's whales in all of them. If you look really closely.
There's a whale in every scene, if you look.
Hidden, like a hidden Mickey.
Yeah.
There's a hidden whale. Yeah. Just suspended from the ceiling. Yeah. As we've confirmed, and in the meantime, I've spoken to Oxford, and they've said that you are now Dr. T-Com. Sorry.
Fine. Good.
As one of the two world's leading experts on DCOM.
Yep.
Which DCOM experience, shall we say, do you think would best translate into either a video game or a tabletop game? If you could make any DCOM into a video game or a tabletop game. And this will be your legacy.
Yeah, it will. Xenon Girl of the 21st Century has a very strong, visual aesthetic. Right. It's kind of like, it's not like Cyberpunk, but it has as strong of a visual theme as Cyberpunk.
Got you.
You can spot a Xenon movie a mile away, or you could just hear some. Right. You could hear some dialogue and be like, "This is from Xenon," because everyone's saying, "Whoa, it's Interstellar Major, Zetus Lapetus," and all this bizarre slang. So, yeah, Xenon feels like the strongest. Feels like the richest. Okay. The richest off the top of my head. Yeah, for a tabletop setting, you could really have fun with a character creator in in the Xenon universe.
Not the one where the dog inherits the house.
No. What was that one? Hounded. Called? No, it's not. Sorry, it's not Hounded. It's You Lucky Dog. That one. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, not that one.
I don't know why that one stuck with me.
It's awful.
I think it was where it was at the end where it was a big mansion and they just gutted it and made it suitable for dogs. And it's like, oh, you've
Yeah.
you've knocked millions off the value of that house.
Yep.
That was my first thought.
Well, yeah, but it's the dog's money. The dog is a millionaire.
The dog's a fool.
Take it up with the dog. It's his money.
Well, I intend to.
Xenon. I would play the hell out of a Xenon RPG.
It's locked in.
Yeah.
That's your legacy now.
I'd be delighted.
In years to come.
I'd be delighted if, absolutely delighted.
Flicking through their leatherback tome, lyrics to Velma's Grave, script for Xenon.
I've made the
RPG.
game in this situation. I've made the Xenon tabletop. Yeah, yeah, amazing. I mean, Disney wouldn't let me, but apart from that, maybe I suppose I could make a legally distinct Xenon tabletop RPG.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure Mickey Mouse, notoriously non-litigious mouse, he'll be fine with that.
Be fine. Well, the thing is, the thing about DCOMs is no one's checking. No one knows what's happening. Is it I don't think Disney's even aware that these things are hosted on their service.
This is a big building on the Disney campus with DCOM written on it, and it's just abandoned.
I reckon you could stand outside Disney HQ selling knockoff DVDs of Xenon, and no one going in or out of that building would be like, "Hey, that's ours."
they just congratulate you on your enterprise.
Yeah, these movies slipped through the crack. Well, they'd be like, "Why are you selling that bad-looking film on DVD?"
Well, I look forward to seeing someone try that. I think it would be entertaining in and of itself. It would make a great script for a DCOM movie.
Well, they've certainly made longer movies with worse premises, so yeah.
We're going to move on to some AUTOFIRE questions. You don't have to answer them quickly.
Okay.
You can take your time. But they're just sort of ones that you'd automatically ask people who like video games.
All right.
and fellow gamers.
Okay. I'm ready. I'm braced. I'm leaning forward.
Leaning forward, adopt the position.
Yep.
What is your first video game memory?
Tetris on the original Game Boy was the first video game that I put a lot of time into. Yeah, good place to start, definitely. Yeah, my mum had one. My mum had a Game Boy, and she was like, "I'm not really, I'm not playing this. Do you want it?" I don't know how she got it, but anyway, yeah, Tetris on the Game Boy.
I think that's a really solid answer, because that is obviously there's older games, but it's like the granddaddy of that sort of era of games.
I could play that all day now.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. Same. That is a classic. So this is one that I'm sure will always trip people up in some way, shape, or form. What's your favourite game of all time? All other games get incinerated. You can bend the rules if you want to bend the rules.
No, Dan, I can't. It didn't used to be tough. A few years ago, I was like Breath of the Wild.
Yep,
hands down. My for a long time, my favourite game was Ocarina of Time. And I liked Breath of the Wild more. That was an easy one for me. There's an argument, a very persuasive argument that you can make, and in fact that I have made successfully at a panel once at PAX, I think, that Breath of the Wild is the greatest game of all time. But it is tough. Your criteria does sort of change a bit as you get old and you get a bit crankier, and you sort of like one thing in particular. It would be, I think it would be between Breath of the Wild, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring. I think
that's a pretty tough trio to beat, right? That's
all those games are fantastic. I could probably right. Okay, which one right now? If all three were in front of me,
and you've got a hammer in each hand.
Yeah, I can smash two.
Yeah, at the same time, and one survives.
Maybe I would play Bloodborne, but I can't. If I wasn't smashing them, if I just had three in front of me, the one I would play is Bloodborne, because it's so fun to play, minute to minute. But if I was going to smash two, which is quite upsetting, I don't think I've got it in me to smash Breath of the Wild. So I would, in that circumstance, I would smash the others, and then just probably look at Breath of the Wild and go, I wish I was playing Bloodborne.
Just look at the smashed pieces.
Yeah. But Breath of the Wild is just beautiful. It's so much fun. It's really engaging. just to sort of tool around in. It was great. I don't think it has the replayability of the other two. Again, like games that hold a special place in my heart. That was 2017, so Outside Extra was like brand new. We would just cover it. We were just covering like the launch of the Switch and stuff like that. So like Breath of the Wild was the first major video game that I covered professionally, because I'd been a tech reporter for many years before I was at Outside Extra. But it was an amazing confluence of things, like being a lifelong Zelda fan and then basically being given the keys to a YouTube channel about video games, like just months prior to the greatest Zelda game, maybe video game ever, coming out. And making videos at that time, playing Breath of the Wild was a joy, truly joyful.
I think that's a good choice. I do think that's a good choice. We might have already touched on this a bit, but what game are you most looking forward to playing next? It can be a game that you already own, but haven't played yet, or it can be something that's coming out or coming out in years to come.
I will play and complete and enjoy Hollow Knight. I just will. I think that's the game of every game that I can think of. That's the one where it's like that people who've played it and love it and like really click with it.
Yeah.
And it sort of wins a very, very special place in their heart. And that has not happened for me, even though I have like made a few forays into playing it. But I will get there. And Hades 2. I watched a long like live stream of like a Hades 2 early build the other day, and it's looking.
Oh yes, yeah.
It's looking so good.
I think they're, again, very solid picks indeed. This is where we go a bit avant-garde away from...
Finally!
Yeah, because, the Dr. DCOM, that was straight down the line, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. Yep. What is your go-to gaming snack?
I don't have a go-to gaming snack because video games require both your hands.
And you have all the nourishment you need.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm often hungry, but like, what can you do? I don't understand how there's so many. Like, it's like, but eat this. This is gamer food, or like, I'm like, how logistically are you doing this? I don't understand. I can't. You
can pause the game if you want. You can pause the game.
Well, yeah, I can. Obviously, I can pause a game and then eat, but then I'm not playing. I'm not playing the game anymore, am I? It's not my gaming snack. It's just a meal at that point.
I mean, you could have a meal if you wanted to, but like something that would keep you going, like that give you the fast energy you need to beat Star Scourge Radan.
Does this podcast have a sponsor? And I'm missing a cue here. Am I supposed to say like
no.
Only the quick energy?
I can't believe you haven't read the email.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Only the quick energy of Whatsits gives me the.
We're sponsored by McVitie's.
Yeah, McVitie's. I wish. Yeah. Only McVitie's gives me the quick energy I need to defeat Star Scourge Radan. McVitie's for the gamers. How was that? Was that good?
There you go.
Yeah,
perfect.
Great.
Got it.
Great.
Done.
Got it. Yeah.
So you wouldn't have anything. You'd rather. Are you saying you'd rather starve?
No, I'm not. I'm saying that I would eat some food, then play games. Oh god, have you ever had to clean out a keyboard or like clean grease off a controller? It's just not worth it.
I've got kids. Luke, all
the
time.
Sure, of course, yeah.
It's just yes, I have.
Yeah. I don't snack while I play video games.
Okay, that's fair enough. We'll just strike that from the record. Luke doesn't eat. That's just what we're going to take from this.
Not Luke doesn't eat. Luke doesn't eat snacks while he plays games. Is this so wrong?
Luke doesn't eat. That's all the games media are talking about.
Luke doesn't eat. I hear he doesn't eat.
Anyway, in your opinion, Dr. DCOM Luke Westaway is the best dressed video game character of all time.
There was a character in. I'm going back to Ace Attorney now. There was a lawyer called Godot.
Him of the coffee.
Yeah. He had like coffee. He had like a cool visor, and he had he had those like old timey. I don't know what they're called. They're like kind of little braces for your shirt. They're like they kind of go on.
I know the ones you mean. Arm braces.
Arm braces. Yeah. I got so into Ace Attorney and so into that aesthetic and so into that look that I actually found and bought some of those things, which is hard when you don't know what they're called.
Amazing.
I don't know, maybe Godot, but I don't know. I mean, it's not that he's well dressed, but it's not that ambitiously dressed. Best dressed in video games, who would it be? I'm trying to think of like someone who's got a coat or like something that moves really nicely, you know, like a third-person game where you mostly kind of see it from the back.
Yeah, I know that. I know the sort of thing you mean. Yeah. Like, so you've got a nice flow to the. There's a term for it. Drape and shape, I think, is the expression.
Yeah. My Bloodborne character, Ray Sunshine, he's the best dressed character in all of video games.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's it, and that's canon now because you've said it. And so that's true. I think that's a really good shout. I was thinking, oh, he could do that, but it would have to be like a character created. But then Ray pops up, takes the crown, which he'd wear really well.
He does wear a crown some episodes that he took from him on top of Canehurst Castle. Marta Ligarius. There we go. All right, next quickfire question. I'm ready. Hit me.
Well, that is it. That's the quick questions done.
What?
Do you want more?
Well, hang on. Here's my quickfire question for you.
Oh, God.
What's one more quickfire question?
Okay, that's a really difficult one.
Yeah.
I haven't really given this a lot of thought.
Oh, ho, ho. Oh, when your all-seeing eye is forced to look inward.
What have you, Luke Westaway, got coming up in the future? And what
That's
are you
not a quickfire question. That's the end of the podcast. You've retooled it as a quickfire question. I'll play along, Dan, but you're going to be in hot water when I've answered it, and then how are you going to finish the podcast? You haven't thought about it.
We'll just turn it off.
What I've got coming up is, I am working on new music, new like personal, as in I mean like a new Luke Westaway musical release that I'm super excited for. It is not nearly ready for prime time, but it is a lot closer than it was, so that's cool. I would encourage everyone to check out the most immediate projects of mine that you can check out are Mom Can't Cook, a DCOM podcast, which I would recommend you just look for Mom Can't Cook, MOM, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want, there's a Patreon for that. You can get bonus episodes, patreon.com/extra helpings, where we're recapping So Weird, a Disney Channel original TV show. That's a very weird and good time. And my YouTube channel, Normal Adult Luke, is where I'm spending like half of my week. The half of my time that I actually have something like to show for it, if you know what I mean. The other half of my time is cool, and I'm doing some really fun stuff, but like nothing that I'm going to be able to talk about for ages and ages. So, so please go to Normal Adult Luke on YouTube. It's
Visible Luke.
Sorry, it's the top of the Luke iceberg. And there's that YouTube channel is also patron supported. So please do go to patreon.com/Normal Adult Luke. Check out the tier rewards there. There's a weekly Lego live stream. Is one of the tier rewards.
Woo!
Yep. Chill out Lego live stream. I know you're a big Lego fan.
Yes.
Yeah. Big Lego head. That sounds
Lego
mean.
Head.
Yeah. You don't have a big Lego head.
This is what this has descended into, Luke.
Yeah,
this is descended into
and
baiting.
I know. and Sekiro. That's the other like major tier rewarder is a episodic playthrough of Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Tightly edited Let's Play series. I'm writing a song for every boss I defeat.
That's fantastic.
Thank you. I just finished the song for today for the Chained Ogre at the point where we're recording this, and I'm pretty happy with it. I'll send it to you after this. You can hear it.
Yes, please do. I want to listen. I want to listen to this. I've been trying to think of another question.
I bet you have.
I've got two.
Okay.
I've got two.
All right. Okay.
What was the last game you played that made you go, oh?
Oh, that like
as in like, oh God, no, not this.
Oh, right, like that I found really boring or tedious.
Yeah, or it's just sort of like, oh God, not this again.
We make fun of video games a lot, but the thing is, they are mostly pretty good. It's actually pretty rare that a game is like so tedious or so dull that it's not fun at all. Oh, but like for work,
yep.
I've lost count of the number of times I've had to start Skyrim. There's a mod that lets you skip Helgen, like the intro in Helgen. If you're not familiar with Skyrim, it starts with you on a cart and you're like tied up and bound. You're a prisoner, and you're wheeled into a city and you're about to be executed, and then a dragon shows up and starts the game. But it's very, very cinematic and very exciting the first time. I know it off by heart, and it's just like so boring. And I've had to, the number of times I've been like, oh, I need to hop into Skyrim to like check something or something. So I like have to, get a fresh install. Oh, it's lost on my saves. That's fine. I'll just sort of quickly like hop into it, and then you're just like in the cart. Like, oh, that always, I just find it so innovating. It just saps all my, just, Skyrim. Why are you like this?
What have I done to myself?
Yeah. I do love Skyrim, but I really, really loved it. And then I played The Witcher 3. And I had to say, when I played The Witcher 3, I was like, damn, this is way more my jam. This is what Skyrim felt like it was like approximating. It's going to be a controversial thing to say, because I know there are lots of people who love Skyrim, and that's fine. But, there are also lots of people who love The Witcher 3, so I don't,
And they can all just fight in the comments or on the streets.
Or not. Or
they'll
just let it...
With placards with your face on.
Just feel free to let it wash over you and not do any fighting at all. But don't get me wrong, I've had some of the best times I've ever had in video games playing Skyrim, particularly with our mod-addled cat Kippers on Outside Extra. Like, that is always so good. That's so funny. I love it so much. And there's, I think one of my last Outside Extra videos is a Kippers Let's Play. And so very, 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 very dear to my heart. But I have a love-hate relationship with Skyrim itself.
I think that's a really good answer, because it isn't bad per se.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that you've seen it a lot. Yeah.
You're like, what's the last time you went, oh, and like, honestly, that's it. It's like sitting through that. That or the tram ride at the beginning of Half-Life. It's like,
oh, yeah.
Spare me again. No, I can't do this.
The G-man talking to you.
Yeah, he just sort of flips past, and you're like, hello, again.
Hello. It's fantastic. It's almost like a regular commute where you'd see the same person.
It is. It does. Both these games simulate an actual commute, but yeah. But I don't get to listen to a podcast. All right, now I want to. What's the question that you think reflects poorly on you as a person?
It reflects poorly on me because I think I spoke over you saying your YouTube channel, and so I'm going to ask you that I'm going to Mr. Plow the thing of that name again.
Name again is Normal Adult Luke. Call Normal Adult Luke on YouTube. That's my name. That name again is Normal Adult Luke.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Luke, for coming on to our little show.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you all for watching as well. And we're going to play a little outro from Insert Coin, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah. Buy some Insert Coin clothes, you viewers and listeners.
Buy them.
Buy them.
Buy them all.
They're good. That Elden Ring hoodie, very choice.
SplitScreen is brought to you by Insert Coin. Official, exclusive, limited. Insert Coin have been shipping video game clothing worldwide since 2010, so represent your favourite games today at www.insertcoinclothing.com.